Good evening. Welcome to the Planning Board meeting, March 27th, 2025. This meeting is recorded, and there will be people zooming in. First item on the agenda would be Planners Department update.
I will be very brief because we're starting a little bit late. We do have a quorum for the meeting itself, but we're hoping that we get an additional person so we can take action on the special permits tonight. So departmental business, there's nothing. The master plan, we did get over 550 survey responses and counting. We're going to issue a subsequent survey related specifically to the growth nodes identified in the previous plan with some suggested modifications for the next 10 years. And you can expect to see that out within the next 2-3 weeks, I'd say. We have a housing choice grant application that we're hoping to submit shortly because the deadline's pretty quick here. We're going to study part of the stormwater system under Neponset Avenue because Schneider Electric is going to be disposing of that land. There is an antiquated brick piping system underneath that for stormwater, brick of all things. I've never heard of that, but apparently it's common around here. And a good portion of the watershed flowing into that storm sewer system is coming from Railroad Ave and beyond, so outside of the Neponset Avenue campus. So it's something that we want to address no matter what development occurs there we could lose access to that potentially. So we want to make sure that we have adequate stormwater capacity for that part of town. And finally, we are doing a site walk for the assessment project of 131 Moore Street. It came in very quickly. They told us that it was back on, and they scheduled something with us. So we'll be out walking around at 131 Moore Street with the EPA on Monday. So It's great news. So that's that.
Anything on active subdivisions, Gabby?
No, just subdivisions are in the, getting back to in the swing of construction, so the busy season has started. Like I reported at the previous meetings, the town engineers, both of them have been visiting sites and making sure that construction is progressing.
Okay. We have two sets of minutes here, minutes from the meeting.
No.
Oh,
Those are ones for you to sign. Those are previously approved.
Oh, okay.
Why don't we hold off on
Okay.
that minutes vote anyway,
Sorry about that.
until we have full board.
Okay. Again, under action items, we have an A&R, 127, 129 Washington Street.
Hi, I'm Rich Leslie with Bay Colony Group, and I'm representing Rack Properties with this A&R plan. The locust parcel, it's located at the northwesterly intersection of Washington Street, Route 1, and Main Street. There are currently two businesses on the parcel. One of them is CrossFit Torque, the other one's Chase Building Supply. The total lot area is over 7 acres. And what we've come up with is that they're going to have two parcels of land. Both parcels will have more than the minimum requirements for frontage and area. One of them for the CrossFit Torque parcel, and the other one, which the larger parcel, will end up taking care of the Chase. That's operation that's already there. Prior coming to this board, Attorney Frank Splain appeared in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals to get variances that were necessary from them for the subdivision of this parcel. And they were granted all the variances requested, the ZBA case number, and the recording information of the decision is on this A&R plan.
You were here, not you specifically, Rich, but this has been before us before. Just, was this for just estate planning purposes? Is that what?
Frank may have come before you for that.
Okay.
It's basically what it's for.
Okay.
I mean, Don Chase's children, one runs Chase Building Supply, his son Rich,
Yep.
and his daughter runs CrossFit Torque.
Got it.
That's it. You had any questions?
No, we kind of been through this before.
Yeah, I figured.
That's it.
I'd make a motion that the board approves the A&R plan for 127, 129 Washington Street, encompassing the Chase Lumber and the CrossFit properties.
I guess I'll have to second it.
Well, Gary.
Gary could, but,
All right, I'll second it.
thank
There you
you.
go, Gary.
Thank you. Okay, we need a roll call vote, so
Gary, yes.
Jeff, yes.
Ron, yes. Okay,
All right, we'll sign
I'll grab the
afterwards.
plan later. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
The other A&R didn't make it.
the old Wolomolopoag?
Yeah, Old Wolomolopoag, they'll
Street?
come
Okay.
to the next meeting.
Do we have a time set for that?
Gigantic parcels down there.
Yeah, what they're proposing is to section out a portion, a large portion in the back of the properties and donate it to conservation. So the commission has looked at it, and it makes sense because it abuts conservation land, so it'll increase, the amount of space there. So they are interested in taking that, so. yeah. The lots will still meet all the requirements. It's just they'll
I would
have.
think they would.
Okay, being a little past 7:10 PM, public hearing, warrant article, zoning bylaw. Bonnie over it?
Thank you. So for the record, Barnett Overett, 10 Ames Road, Chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. So this is my annual visit to the Planning Board in an effort to make a more perfect zoning bylaw. And what you have in front of you are a dozen revisions, proposed revisions of the zoning bylaw, although as I'll explain as we go along, one of them we're going to eliminate, and I'll explain the reasons why. For the most part, these are administrative. There's nothing in a major substantive, capacity. So to start off, the first two items are related, and what they would do would be to treat home occupations in all of the commercial districts exactly the same as they're treated in the two residential districts. So where a home occupation requires a special permit from the zoning board, which would be for an intensive home occupation, it would be a special permit across the board. And where it's allowed by right for a non-intensive home occupation, it would be allowed by right across the board. I realize there aren't many, but there are homes in those commercial districts, so this would be a means of treating homeowners the same as in the two residential districts. Item 3 would limit the number of storage structures on properties on which there's a single-family or two-family dwelling. And this is an issue that the building commissioner and I first discussed a little bit more than a year ago during a site visit on a piece of property in the R40 district that had about 10 storage structures on it. Now that property, it wasn't an issue there because that property was being used for agricultural purposes, but it did raise concerns in Mr. Shippey's mind. And as he has explained to me, he has dealt with issues of this nature in the past when he was the building commissioner in Marion and did not want to start dealing with it in Foxborough as well. Mm-hmm. Considering that we can now allow accessory dwelling units in detached structures, what he's concerned about is a proliferation of structures on a single-family lot. So this would limit the number unless the Board of Appeals granted a special permit to exceed that number.
And is there a definition of storage structures?
No. Accessory structures,
I assume that, like, your shed would qualify.
the building department in its regulations does describe sheds and storage structures, which are allowed by right and which
Distinctive things
require,
or all the same? Are you using that as a generic term? Or
Yes.
Generic term?
yeah.
Okay.
So item 4 would, again, is an issue that Mr. Shippey and I have discussed, and this is related to the fact that even though our proposed accessory dwelling unit bylaw is still pending approval from the Attorney General's office, we do have a state statute that's in effect. And the concern here is when we're either constructing or converting a structure that's not a dwelling and making that into an ADU, if there is a nonconformity, it's going to require a special permit from the zoning board. The ADU itself cannot require a special permit, but the structure itself, if it's going to not conform with any of the dimensional requirements imposed by the bylaw, would require authorization from the Board of Appeals. And this is an issue that we've discussed in relation to a matter that's already been brought to his attention. My feeling is that the current provisions in the zoning bylaw relative to non-conforming structures that are not single-family or two-family dwellings would be inconsistent with the statutory requirements. Yep. So that's the purpose of item number 4. Items number 5 and number 6 are just corrective. Items 7 and 8 would address an issue that the zoning board has recently determined, and this would really codify our determination. It deals with the reconstruction of non-conforming single and two-family dwellings. And this would specify under what circumstances those situations, matters that are brought to the Zoning Board of Appeals, would come under Section 5.4 or would come under Section 5.6. The criteria, the requirements are identical, special permit and finding. But this would just specify under what circumstances you would go under one section versus another section.
Would those nonconformities be dimensionally related?
It would be dimensional.
Not setback related?
Well, yeah, that would be a dimensional, yes.
Okay.
They'll be all dimensional. So that's item 7 and 8. Item 9 is corrective. It corrects an error that I made in drafting the MBTA communities bylaw. And again, the Attorney General's office has approved that, so that's, and Mr. Cutler has already advertised, for that. We're still waiting, I believe, from Housing and Livable Communities, any comments from them, but the AG's office has approved it. Item 10 would provide a definition for net floor area. When I drafted the ADU bylaw, I provided a definition for gross floor area because I felt that the current definition in the bylaw was really incomplete and inappropriate for that purpose. And I feel that the same holds true with the current definition of net area. So net floor area would be a new definition. Item 11 would address the multiple terms that we use in the bylaw for multifamily dwellings. We use multifamily housing, multifamily structures, multifamily residential structures, and multifamily uses. None of those terms are defined. The one term that is defined is multifamily dwelling. And really what I'm saying here is every time you see one of these other terms, it refers back to multifamily dwelling. It is a multifamily dwelling unless the context provides otherwise. Item 12 is the one that I would want to have us delete. We do not have definitions in the bylaw for any of these terms. They're used fairly frequently throughout the zoning bylaw without definition. As I said to Catherine and Gabby, as I said to Mr. Shippey, as I said to town council when I spoke with him about an issue a year ago, notwithstanding the fact that these terms are undefined, we've always known what they mean. So I came up with some definitions. Yep. Mr. Shippey loved them. As he said, he likes definitions.
Right.
And I was fat, dumb, and happy until Tuesday afternoon when I sat down with Mr. Spillane to go through these changes, and he said, well, there's an issue here. And the issue is because of another term that is utilized in the bylaw. And although I think I'm correct on this. If you read literally that other term, we have an inconsistency. And obviously, one of the things that I want to avoid are inconsistencies. So as a consequence, I would like to delete this from what will go on the town meeting warrant, and then I'll address the meeting at a future, I'll address the issue at a future date.
Can I just burst in for 1 second? Gary, I think that there's some feedback on the other end. If you don't mind muting yourself until you ask questions or vote. Thank you.
Procedurally, haven't they already closed the warrant?
Yes.
So that's going to require an amendment on the floor, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, no, can we do an amendment here to,
I think that's what we did the last time, but I think that needs to be done on the floor as well.
I mean, I was just,
I can get
I'm-
clear, I can
I
get
think that
guidance
needs
on
to be
that.
clarified.
Yeah, I'll get
I mean,
clear.
It doesn't really necessarily
Yeah.
matter for tonight's purposes,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Can we circle back to that?
Sure.
That storage structures one? Just because I think that potentially could be something that could be in play. I mean, it's not that unusual to see multiple, and I guess I'm, without, you said there are no definitions there for those terms.
let me just double check, but
Okay.
I don't believe there are. No.
Yeah, I may be, just overly cautious with that.
I mean, there's a definition for structure, but not for a storage structure.
Storage structure, right. Okay. Mr. Interim Chair.
Yes. Do we have a motion to approve the warrant article?
We
You
need,
have to close the public
we
hearing.
need to take,
And before we
Comments.
do that, I think we'll do that maybe conditionally in a way, just because we're not sure about that last article and, but I think, given the fact that it doesn't appear that there's a real time crush to have that done absolutely locked down tonight, I think we could do it that way. And then if we need to have a subsequent vote, just taking, we can do that. I'd make a motion, we close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
So from a time standpoint, when are your next meetings?
2 weeks, isn't it?
yep,
April 10th and April 24th.
So I would think by April 24th, we're getting kind of late. So we probably have to have, if we have to have a final vote, it would probably have to be by the 10th.
yes.
As far as the warrant being printed and all.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can always have a supplemental.
Yeah.
If you needed to.
Made a motion, second, to close the hearing. You need a roll call
We need a
vote.
roll call vote. Mr. Whitehouse?
We heard him.
Gary, yes.
Jeff, yes.
Ron, yes.
All right, then.
So we're gonna wait and not take a vote on the whole thing
No,
until
we
the
can
next
take a
meeting?
vote here. I would just say, I'd put it this way. I'd make a motion that the board approve the various amendments as outlined under,
I think you make a motion to.
do we have an article number on this?
I haven't seen,
We're
No,
sending
final.
sending them to.
No, we don't have numbers yet.
Okay.
It's a motion to recommend that they proceed to town meeting.
It would be.
Make a positive recommendation.
Positive recommendation.
And I would make that in the form of a motion, but I would condition that there may be some modifications necessary before. Does that make sense? Before formally submitting it.
Correct, sure.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Gary, aye.
Jeff, I.
Ron, aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, where you going? You got another one?
So, I'm really on the fence. I don't know about this being considered administrative.
No,
I think
it's
this is
not.
literally the last thing we can potentially do unless Kevin shows up.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Being a little after 7:15 PM, public hearing, warrant article, Foxborough zoning bylaw, amend section 9.3, deleting the entire section and replacing with a new section 9.3 floodplain overview district, overlay district, and address changes required for national flood insurance protection eligibility.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is an article that is, we have replaced the overlay district language when FEMA updates their maps. So every few years is something that we are required to do. There are very small changes, tweaks from what we have currently, but this is something that the federal government requires for the town to continue being eligible to participate in the flood insurance. So this has been reviewed by DCR, and they have approved the language so that there's no corrections that would be necessary. If we pass this article, then the town will continue being in compliance.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the zoning bylaw change as
We
presented?
need to close the public
Oh,
hearing, please.
sorry. I'm good at that. Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Gary, aye.
Jeff, I.
Ron, aye. Do you notice I have to keep pointing at him?
And that being the case, I'd make a motion that the board approve the amendments outlined, amendments to section 9.3 as outlined in the floodplain overlay district.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Gary?
Gary, aye.
Jeff, I.
Ron, aye. Okay, it's,
Well, unfortunately, the rest of these items are not
I was just gonna say, it's
administrative.
well after 7:20. We don't have the quorum to go to the
We
special
don't.
permit items.
Take a recess and someone try to call Kevin?
We can do that. Do you want, no? Okay.
I've reached out to him a couple of times. I have not heard back.
Subdivision plan? Even the
That's,
subdivision plan?
I mean, it says only administrative items can be approved under a quorum of 3. And that's a substantive item in my determination.
Okay.
Well,
So unfortunately, folks, anybody that was here for any of the public hearings, special site plan review for special permits with a definitive subdivision, we don't have the quorum present tonight to vote on it. We're gonna have to reschedule.
So everything could be continued to April 10th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have the 67 Washington Street, the craft group is continued at 7:10, so we can put everything else after 7:10.
just so you know. Yeah,
You're not gonna be
I
here.
will not be there, so you better make sure Tracy.
When is the next, excuse me? when
It's
is the
April
next
10th.
meeting?
April 10th.
April 10th?
Yep.
See you
Sorry,
at the
folks.
RTC, but we'll see you.
Did somebody forgot their cup?
Oh.
So, motion to adjourn, I
Okay,
guess.
motion to adjourn?
I'd make that, do they have a copy of that plan?
Which plan?
Which one?
Chestnut Street,
Yeah, let's, yeah.
right? Sarah, while you're here,
I don't.
Anytime you can adjourn if you like.
Gary, I'd make a motion that we adjourn for the evening.
I'll second that motion.
Well, you wanted a quick meeting, didn't you?
All those in favor?
Roll call.
Come on.
Gary, aye.
Jeff, aye.
Ron, aye. That's all, folks.